Welcome to Slingy's Daredevils, where we spotlight leaders who are elevating their communities with tech. In today's episode, we are talking with Ashley Barrow at Re-Asist. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing, Savannah?
I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm really excited to record this episode with you.
I am too. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, I'm excited. So Ashley, if we want to just jump on in here, what is Re-Asist and what do y'all do?
So Re-Assist is a platform, a SaaS platform that's going to integrate the patient, the account manager, or the social worker. Some people also call them case managers, in addition to the service provider in the transition of care phase. So typically when someone goes to the hospital, let's say someone has a stroke, and they go to the hospital and they find out that they need another level of care. Maybe they have a lack of support at home, or maybe they have a decrease in function. So that individual is typically provided a paper-based list and say, hey, here are some facilities in your area, or here are some home health cares that provide rehab in your area. Could you please pick one so we can set up that referral process and get you going to the next level of care? So what we want to do is just automate that list a little bit better, so patients will have a deep dive into what that looks like, so they can make more educated decisions on the continuity of care. And we hope with that it will decrease readmissions and improve outcomes.
Awesome. So what led you to the Re-Assist, the idea of Re-Assist, and what made you so passionate about transition of care planning?
Thank you for that question, because to be reminded when you're in the thick of everything and you remember the passion, it always brings like a smile and some kind of pride or some kind of joy in what do I do. So basically I was a transitional case manager, for lack of better words. I worked for this project called Money Follows the Person, and I was able to help transition tons of people from post-acute care to the community. So I found a good love for patient insight and really diving deep into real case scenarios. So for example, you have a patient with congestive heart failure or something like that, but they're in a situation where their housing isn't the best, or maybe they have several steps to get up and they can't get up there. So what resources do we have? Where can we tap into maybe getting a ramp, or does that person need some accommodations, or maybe she have first floor apartment, things like that. So really doing that grassroots deep dive into how to improve quality of life was always like something I felt very passionate about, especially for individuals that were supposed to be institutionalized all their life, to give them an opportunity to live in the community with the right resources, right? Yeah. So I thought it was good. I was like, okay, I'm making progress here. We got people with MS that was never supposed to be in the community, living their life with adaptive assistive equipment, all the tons of care providers, everything like that was great. But it wasn't until my sister got ill. And at the age of 33, she was diagnosed with end-stage renal disease, had to go through dialysis, and sometimes transportation didn't come, or sometimes she wasn't connected with the right resources. And being a case manager and had transitioned all these people, for me not to know the answer, I just felt like, whoa, we really need something in this space to get people back going again. And a lot of times individuals just need the resources and then they can move forward. So what I want to do is put those resources at the fingertips of the patient and the clinician, so that they can know what resources are outside of what people usually use. So that's what got me going. That's the passion behind it. But I did become more in tune with patient insight when my sister went through that. But now, by the grace of God, she does have a transplant. She's doing great. She's learning how to walk on a prosthetic. So she's doing great now. But to get her connected to those resources and try to find things, and some things were in the county, some things were outside of the county. There was programs provided by the state. But to have that all in one application, I think is going to save lives.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's good to hear that your sister is doing much better now, and that this project came out of passion as well as experience.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned application, which is a good transition to my next question, which is, how is Re-Assist planning to use tech to support the community, and specifically that transition of care planning?
Yeah, so what we want to do is take the manual process and transition of care planning. It is multi-layered, it's confusing, it has a lot of players involved,
Oh
and what
yeah.
we want to do is automate that and basically put it in a format that's easy to use for the patient. We want to start in the acute care hospital, but we do want to also transition and make sure individuals have access to the community as we grow and as we build. But for right now, again, we want to start in the acute care hospital for those individuals, like we talked about with the stroke or other
Hmm.
ailments that may cause that person to go to another inpatient level of care or either home care with rehabilitation services. We want to automize that list so that patient can have a deep dive analysis on what that level of care looks like so they know what to expect and hopefully get better outcomes.
And have all the information in front of them.
Absolutely, an educated choice. Yes, absolutely.
And that's the main goal, is to
Yes.
help educate people in the community around something that they might not have known
Right.
before.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Well, awesome. I'm glad that we've been getting to learn a lot about Re-Assist. Now,
Yes.
Ashley, I know you guys are in the early stages. So could you share with the audience where you guys are at now, where you're planning to move?
Absolutely. So let me tell you how we started. So it was crazy. It was COVID. I'm a mother and I was at home. My kids were remotely weren't learning and I had to scale back on my hours tons. And I actually had a time to sit down and think about how to improve processes in the space that I was working in.
Oh yeah.
So as I was thinking these things out, my son came to me and basically was like, Mom, I can help you, So he actually started our process and built our first MVP out.
Oh
12-year
yeah.
old, yeah, 12-year-old kid. Now he was 11 at the time when he built it out. 12-year-old kid built out this application for us. So with that being said, what we are so excited about now is we are looking to find ways to build this platform out more robust. We've had
Outside
talks
of the
with you
MVP.
outside of the MVP, more robust, so we can pilot this to hospitals and prove out the concept because we know it's going to be great. It's going to, again, improve quality of life, reduce readmissions, reduce length of stay, increase productivity between staff members, and increase patient satisfaction. So we are so excited to just get that proof of concept out there. But first, we do need to raise funding.
Yeah,
So we're
that's the
looking for
fun part.
I know. So we're looking for non-dilutive funding. We're looking at maybe investments, things like that to try to get this really going, really get it robustly built out so we can also do the proof of concept and then, of course, scale. So we're excited for that. There's a lot of momentum. We're just waiting on the right person to come to us and let us know that they have the same passion or if they had a family member go through the same thing and they want this to change. So
Yeah, I think a good point to maybe touch on really quick as we get to the end is that recently a new law passed where these options have to be available. Is that correct?
yes, the interoperability and patient access rule, yes. But there's also been other push down from CMS as far as the healthcare reform and things like that to try to gear individuals to look at these readmissions and see why individuals are slipping through the cracks and what does that truly look like. For my sister, when she went through this process, I didn't get into it much, but when she went through this process, she readmitted with a really further decline in health. And that's not what we want. Hospitals set miracles happens in hospitals, right? And then they get to this level of care and then something happens, a ball drops, and unfortunately that patient is back or even worse. So we just want to see what we can do as far as the resource and the education and the continuity of care to make things better.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story, the Re-Assist story, and how you're helping the community with tech.
All right.
Slingy had a great time.
All right. So good to see him. He's just so great.
Thanks. I think so too. But thank you, listeners, for taking the time to watch Slingy's Daredevils. And Ashley, where can people find you? Where do you want people to reach out, etc.?
Absolutely. Well, you guys can come over to the website. It's at www.astatueofexcellence.com. You guys can reach out to Slingshot. They know how to get a hold of me as well. But Re-Assist, just look. You can even Google us. We got some things going on, and just give us a shout out, and we'll follow up. And we are very serious about this goal. If anybody out there wants to help in any way with thought leadership interviews, if you guys want to help with capital, if you have any further insight, if you have other stories that are like my sisters or like myself transitioning through those levels of care and not really knowing what was going on, please, I'd like to hear that, and I'd like to see how we can improve this and get this out there. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Hey guys, comment below if any of that relates to you, if you want to share.
Absolutely.
And thanks everybody. I had a great time, and have a great rest of your day.
All right. Have a good one. Take care.